I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting for the City of Springdale for February 18th, 2026. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Bowdy, if you take roll.
Mr. Gleaves.
Present.
Mr. Hall.
Present.
Mr. Jacobs.
Present.
Ms. McFarland.
Present.
Ms. Thompson.
Present.
Mrs. Webster.
Present.
Mr. Anderson.
Present. Council, in your packets, you had the minutes for the February 4th meeting. What is your pleasure?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion or updates? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as published signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved unanimously. All right, next up on the agenda, we have a presentation for Black History Month in recognition of Mr. Leo Foster. Mr. Gleaves, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a presentation for Black History Month for one of our residents, Mr. Leo Foster. Mr. Leo Foster was born in Covington, Kentucky and graduated from Covington Holmes High School. Mr. Foster played baseball, basketball, football, and ran track for Holmes High School. Mr. Foster was a starting shortstop on the varsity baseball team, earning all-state honors all 4 years of his high school career. He was all-state in basketball for 3 years. He played football and ran track, where he held a high jump record of 6 foot 2.5 inches for 20 years. Mr. Foster started his professional baseball career in 1969. He was drafted by the Atlanta Braves, where he was assigned to the Class A Greenwood, South Carolina affiliate of the Western Carolina League. In 1970, Mr. Foster was called up to the major leagues, and at that point, he was the youngest player in the major leagues at 19 years old. Mr. Foster's major league career lasted 12 years. He played with notable players like Hank Aaron and former manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Dusty Baker. Mr. Foster was roommate of Dusty Baker from 1969 to 1975. It ended when Dusty was traded to the LA Dodgers and Leo was traded to the New York Mets. Mr. Foster and his wife they've been living in Springdale on Glen Springs Drive for over 40 years. I'd like to thank Mr. Foster and his wife for their time and being so gracious and sharing their stories with me. And now I had a chance to share them with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I believe Mr. Foster was planning to originally attend, but there was a family emergency he had to attend with. Otherwise, he would be here. But it's nice to recognize our own Springdale people in Black History Month, especially somebody who's had such amazing experiences as being drafted into the major leagues. That's really a great story. All right. And with that, we'll move on to committee and official reports. First up, we have the Civil Service Commission. Mr. Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Council. The Springdale Civil Service Commission did meet on February the 5th in the Springdale Municipal Building, and the Civil Service Commission members were in attendance, which included myself, Mr. Dunnigan, and Mrs. McNair. Also present for the meeting was City Administrator Mr. Ewell, Assistant City Administrator Ms. Morgan, Fire Chief Mr. Stanley, Police Chief Mr. Butler, and the Human Resources Administrator Mrs. Edwards. Following up with disposition of the minutes, there were several reports that were highlighted, and I won't go into any of that detail, but more importantly, on the new business side, the firefighter 2 paramedic hiring timeline. And this hiring timeline was presented due to the reclassification of a full-time firefighter. Mrs. McNair made a motion to approve the timeline, and that was seconded by Mr. Dunnigan. That motion passed 3-0. In addition to the timeline, a request was also presented to waive the examination and agility test that allows for lateral entry and for current Springdale part-time firefighters to apply. And what's significant about this is that with this lateral entry and with the opportunity of the Springdale part-time firefighters, we're fairly certain that those individuals could in fact pass the examination, and therefore were certainly able to do the agility test as well. So Mrs. McNair made a motion to approve the waiver, and that was seconded by Mr. Dunnigan, and that motion passed 3-0. And we moved right along after a discussion with Police Chief, Mr. Butler, and there was a hiring timeline that was presented due to a future retirement in the police department. Mrs. McNair made a motion to approve that timeline, and that was seconded by Mr. Dunnigan, and that motion passed 3-0. In addition to the timeline, a request was presented to waive the minimum service requirement of 3 years served in the Springdale Police Department to a minimum requirement of 1 year service in the Springdale Police Department, retaining the minimum service requirement of 4 years as a full-time police officer. This waiver request increases the number of candidates eligible to apply. And what's significant about this is the same rules that also affect the firefighters, which is the lateral hiring, as well as those individuals who can come in with significant service, and to make sure that we have a significant candidate pool to promote from within. We thought it was necessary to retain the minimum service requirement of 4 years as a full-time police officer, and to also make sure that 1 year of service in the Springdale Police Department was also maintained. A request was also presented to waive the efficiency rating and credit for the patrol sergeant promotional hiring process. And this, again, is reflective of the changes that are made currently in today's market that, again, allows for lateral hiring, lateral movement, lateral transfers. So it was felt that it wasn't necessary to provide additional rating and credit for those individuals who were coming in with that type of experience. And so it becomes a better opportunity to evaluate individuals based on their service, based on their skills. Mrs. McNair made a motion to approve both waivers as presented, and that was seconded by Mr. Dunnigan, and that motion passed also 3-0. And that concludes my report.
It was a busy one. Questions? Anything for Mr. Coleman? All right, I don't see anything. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
All righty.
All right, next up we have Finance Committee, Ms. Webster.
Thank you. General fund activity through January 31st, 2026. General fund beginning balance January 1st, 2026, $6,164,941. Revenues for January, $924,168. Expenditures for January, $4,861,709. General fund ending balance January 31st, 2026, $2,227,400. That concludes my report. Thank you.
I don't see any questions. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to Planning Commission, Ms. McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report.
Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Zoning Appeals held their meeting January the 27th at 7 p.m. The meeting commenced at that time. The roll call was made. All members were in attendance, along with the building official. The report from council that Mr. Gleaves presented was a report catching the Board of Zoning Appeals up to date from council. It was very, very comprehensive, and we appreciate it. There was also a report from Mr. Joe Ramirez on the Planning Commission, which I believe we'll deal with tonight. This was a matter that came before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a quick trip variance at 55 Progress Place. It was application number 202600.10. The application was to allow 2 colors for fuel sales, being a fueling station, one for diesel fuel and 1 for gasoline. And after consideration from the board, the board decided that it was a common practice to have different colors for each type of fuel in the city, it did not present a special privilege by approving that, and the property would not have depleted any value. It would have only increased the value with the upgrade of the sales. With that being said, there was a motion, and it went passed unanimously, and to approve it. So they will have the two colors for diesel fuel and for gasoline. And Mr. Gleaves did make a comment that he's going to approach the code revisions to have that added to the code revisions so that it would be standard operating procedure at that time. If there's any questions or comments, I'll be glad to answer.
I don't see any, but thank you for taking that. I just made a note on my sheet to make sure we talk about that with the revision code to see if we needed to update the code. So thank you for being proactive on that. All right, next we'll move on to the Board of Health. Ms. McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report.
All right, next is OKI. The OKI board did meet on February 12th. The new members had their training before the meeting, and we did receive a few updates. One of them was on the House bill that you might have seen some information on. I talked about it, I think, 2 meetings ago, where there's some changes being proposed by the state level on how MPOs are managed. There was some concern that that might affect how OKI works in general. Seeing how this is a very effective board, they did have an opportunity to speak with those sponsors of the bill, and after some education and lobbying, it seems like those changes that we were concerned about won't be moving forward, but it's still possible. So we'll continue to watch that as it goes through the State House. There was also an update on a lawsuit on the Brent Spence Bridge that's brought forward for ecological concerns and reports. If anyone's interested in what the state of that is, it's a little bit far from Springdale, but if you would like details on it, I'm happy to talk with you anytime about it. But that's, other than reviewing our transportation safety targets for the year, that's all that we did. So unless there's any questions, we'll move on. All right. Next, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few things, update coming up. We have the Smoothie King ribbon cutting. It'll be again on February 27th in the morning. It is open, so you can go and patronize that establishment. We have the SYB Cinema Horse Races coming up on Saturday, the 28th of February at 7 p.m. at the Rec Center in the old gym. It's always a good time for folks to come out and enjoy that. And we'll be having the State of the City address on March the 25th at 7 p.m. at the Rec Center in the old gym. And as well, folks are welcome to come out and hear from our different department heads about things that are going on and expected to happen in 2026. As well, I've spoken with Mr. Anderson, plan to have a town hall meeting at some point, probably around September. And as that comes up, we'll give some more information. That concludes my report.
Great, and for just rough and planning, if people have scheduling things that they want to make either Lawrence or myself, Mayor Hawkins or myself aware of, please let us know for that time frame. In the past, we've had it in the week in between our first and second session in September, so that's probably what we'll target. So take a look at your calendars, and then also it's possible it could be the week before the first meeting in September, so the end of August. So if you have concerns about those dates, let us know, but that's probably what we're going to be landing on. All right? All right, next we'll move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Ewell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just 2 quick personnel updates that I want to bring before council this evening. I'm happy to report that Ms. Kelly Flanagan will be joining our staff as our Finance Officer Tax Commissioner on April the 7th. Kelly comes to us from Miami Township, Claremont County, where she is a wealth of knowledge and has both municipal tax and plethora of finance experience, as well as some time spent with the Ohio Auditor. Secondly, I just want to announce and recognize Sergeant Bill Zeke will be retiring from the Springdale Police Department. He has over 21 years with our department and over 25 years in the pension system. He'll be retiring at the end of this month, but we do appreciate Sergeant Zeke and all his accomplishments with our city and everything that he's done for us, and we're hoping we can maintain him as a reserve officer in the future. And I believe Ms. Morgan has a few items.
Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, sir. As we approach tax filing season, or as we're entering tax filing season, I suppose, a reminder that the city has partnered with the Regional Income Tax Agency, RETA, also known as, to offer online filings and payments. This opportunity also affords taxpayers the ability to create a My Account, which will give them the opportunity, in addition to filing and making payments, also the ability to upload documents, view all of their prior transaction history, send secure messages to discuss their specific cases, and also update their profile information. For those of individuals that may still prefer that in-person service, please know our tax department is still open for business. Please come in to have assistance with completing your filings, making payments, and answering account questions. Our staff is ready and available. Thank you.
Thank you. And to be clear, we have not changed our tax policy as a result of moving to RETA. It's just how it can be filed and taxed. So if your numbers seem like they've changed from year to year, it's not related to RETA.
Correct.
Great. All right. Any other questions for the administrator's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Law Director's report, Mr. Braun.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report.
Engineer's report, Mr. Riggs.
Thank you. Yeah, just two quick updates. We have the East Kemper Improvements Phase 1 project that's out to bid now. It was advertised on February 10th, and the bid opening is going to be held here on Thursday, March 5th at 1 p.m. The Northland Kemper intersection realignment and Kemper Road shared use path project, stage 1 plans are going to be submitted to ODOT on March 13th. And that's all I had.
All right, don't see any questions. Thank you. Next, the Zoning Code Revision Committee, Mr. Gleaves.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Zoning Code Revision Committee convened here in the conference room February 17th with participation from city staff, representatives from McBride, Dale Clarion, and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission. The committee discussed recommendations to certain zoning classifications that would enhance redevelopment opportunities, as well as modifications to the land use table. That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to the America 250 Special Committee, Ms. Webster.
Thank you. The 250 committee met on February the 4th, and we discussed several ways how we're going to celebrate it in Springdale. One is we're going to purchase flags, American flags, 250 flags to be flown at all the buildings, the city buildings, along with the other one. Another one will be we're going to have a mural located on the grounds of the city. We're also trying to get something together with the cemetery and the veterans, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Cemetery, Mr. Jacobs.
Mr. Cemetery.
Thank you. I have been trying to work through, there's an Ohio cemetery project where there's a database of cemeteries in the state that are the final resting place of Revolutionary War veterans. And the St. Mary's Cemetery here in town is the resting place of 9 of those veterans, and we're not currently on the registry. So we're working through that process. It's going to be a bit of extra work than I first thought. We have to actually map those particular markers on the ground and then send that report in. But that process is in the works. And so that's one piece of one of the celebrations. We're going to be doing some of our recognition from the cemetery, including flying those special flags that Councilmember Webster brought up. Also, if I could mention, the entire celebration, there's the America 250, there's Ohio 250, and there's also Springdale 250, and that's what we're engaged in. But in general, just to tell the public that there are monthly themes to recognize various progress throughout the last 250 years. In Ohio, as a history teacher, I just have to mention there's some things that Ohio can brag about. Cash registers were invented in Ohio. First baseball team, some of you may be aware of that. The pop-top can was invented in Ohio. The first hot dogs were made and sold in the state of Ohio. So those are some of the innovative things. Ohio, in terms of commerce and industry, Procter & Gamble started in Ohio. Wendy's began in Ohio. Abercrombie & Fitch, Goodyear Tire, and Victoria's Secret all began in the state of Ohio, so those are some fun things to mark in terms of our industry. And in terms of innovation, it's hard to beat the state of Ohio's aviation history, everything from the Wright brothers all the way up to Neil Armstrong, born right here in Ohio. And then just as a final mention, in terms of the city itself, we have seen several businesses start in the city, and that's some of our innovation. Everything, if you go back in time, there was a company called Syncom, which was short for Cincinnati Computer. And these were a couple of employees from IBM that broke away, and their idea was to sell software separately as opposed to just hardware. And that is an innovative idea. They're still doing business. So those are some of the things. And then also to bring it up to today, members of council will be aware that we recently welcomed enable injections into the city. It's a very, very innovative industry in terms of delivering injections through a new innovative process, and that's happening right here in our town. So I just wanted to mention some of those things to mark the month of industry and innovation. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're also looking forward to doing something with the elementary schools, pardon me, like a costume party of the people dressed up like George Washington and so forth, but we have to work into that yet. Our next meeting will be March 4th at 5:30. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that's the end of committee and official reports. Next, we'll move on to communications. Ms. Browder, are there any communications for council this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we do have a transferred liquor permit request coming from Annette Todd LLC to 22 Ultra Lounge located at 340 Glen Springs Drive. This is for permit classes D1, D2, and D3. That would give you beer, wine, and prepackaged low-proof sales on and off premise till 1 a.m. and on premise only the high-proof spirits till 1 a.m. And there is no input from the police department opposing this permit, so we can take care of that for you if you'd like.
All right. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Has there been any communications with Chief Butler as far as input concerning this liquor permit?
Mr. Yule.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Chief Butler actually met with the property owner or the person that the liquor permit will be transferred to and from, and has expressed his desires for security and whatnot. So they've had some extensive meetings here in the past couple of weeks, but he has no opposition to this current transfer.
Okay, thank you.
And council, you may recall from past liquor permit transfers, we don't actually take a vote on them, but if anyone has an objection, this is your opportunity to lodge that. Otherwise, we'll simply file it with the state liquor board. All right, I don't see any, so we go ahead and file it. Thank you, Ms. Browder. All right, next on the agenda, we have communications from the audience. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience that would like to address council for any reason. You simply need to come forward to the podium, state your name and address, and you can address council for up to 5 minutes. At this point, the floor is now open for communications from the audience.
Donna Vanover, 11982 Tavel Court.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vanner, can you hang on just 1 second? Is that mic on? Because I'm having a hard time hearing it. Is it on? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we appreciated the city maintenance department of Springdale during the snow, several snows that we've had. They did an awesome job. They were down. They cleared as much as they could. I was a little disappointed of the number of cars that were left on the street during the snow emergency without any tickets. One day after it was safe to go out, I went up the hill on Ledrow Street. There were 2 cars parked in the no parking zone that were plowed in to those spots. So obviously they have been there for a while. I think the maintenance department could have had more ease of doing their job if those cars had been off the street, as was stated on Facebook and different things. So that was, but they did a great job where they could. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hawkins.
And thank you, Ms. Vanover. We appreciate, first off, the kudos for Kevin and the crew. Those guys did an amazing job. We are looking at some other creative ways to see what we can do in terms of when there's snow emergencies to try to manage folks being able to get off the roads, find ways to get information out to them sooner if we can in other places for folks where particularly parking is at a premium, where they may be able to go park someplace else. So we're trying to explore some other options, but we appreciate the comments.
All right, the floor is still open if anyone else would like to address council.
I guess since I have 5 minutes, I'll do bullet points. Because I live at 848 Castro Lane. I've been here almost 33 years.
And would you mind sharing your name so we can have it in the minutes?
Tammy Merritt. Okay. On my street, the one side has not been cleaned in almost 3 years because the cars never move. They rotate from the POV to the roofing trucks. The blacktop's all ate up. It's coming through. I talked to Chris Miller, marking that. He said, talk to the police about moving the cars. People burn trash around my house, in multiple houses in the backyard, every other day or once a week. I have breathing issues, so I can't even come out of my house. The police, they call 911, they come, they're like, where's the fire? I pick a house. So that's an issue. I don't know how to make anybody accountable. Parking in yards, it's a daily thing. Pouring motor oil and cooking oil down the storm drains. I've called, they've come out, seen it sitting there, and they're like, I don't know what to do. They just replaced the sewer drain this week, yesterday and today. Springdale replaced it like 2 months ago. The roofing trucks pull up on the curb, they broke it, and the people that installed the ones today said the same thing's gonna happen as soon as the truck pulls up on it. So why are we wasting money when we're not fixing what's causing the issue? And is there a process for this stuff? Is there a procedure, a way to make somebody accountable? Because it's been going on for a year or so, and I keep calling, and I'm just a lady that constantly is complaining because my neighbors are like, I don't want to call, you call again. And I cleaned up for when they sealed the street from my house to the corner, which is 2 houses. I did either side of the street. I got 2 handfuls of nails. I went over to the neighbor. They don't speak English, but one of their workers does, and I showed them. And they're like, they fall out of the trucks. And I'm like, they pull out in the morning. I go over there, and there's a handful of nails. And, yeah. And we won't even get into they just get out of their cars eating something and throw the trash on the ground. I mean, it's a constant. There's dead animals under the vehicles that eventually wash down to the sewer, and I keep picking them up. And that just freaks me out. But, yeah, so other than me calling Springdale police every day and making a log, which I can do a spreadsheet, what can we do? I mean, it's starting to look like over the Rhine in Springdale.
And
So-
where is this? Which street?
Castro Lane.
Oh, in Castro.
I got 5 houses that I constantly am told, yeah, we're aware of it. We're aware of it. And I'm like, it's been 2 years. It's getting, and I don't even talk to my neighbors much. The ones on either side of me, they've been there 20 years, 25 years. We say hi, and unless somebody's sick, we don't interact. As long as everybody's leaving me alone, you know. I've loaned out my yard tools. I've given people garbage cans to try to help. And, yeah. So, and they're backing up in my yard, busting my drainage pipe. I was told I can't put stop strips there. I don't know what I can stack there between the sidewalk and the curb, but, I mean, you guys planted trees I didn't ask for, so if I can plant thorn bushes or something, or stick up cinder blocks, if I gotta get an attorney, they need to quit backing up in my yard. You know, I got my driveway blocked, and they back up in between the 2 trees. Not just the trucks, but the personal vehicles. You only got to go up a little bit. You can make a U-turn if the police aren't looking. I mean, why try to back up right there? But it's a daily, constant thing, starting at 5:30 in the morning to the evening. And I've stood out there, and they'll still back up and say, so. And I'm like, ah. So, yeah. It's way out of control. If I got to call Springdale and the fire department 24/7, I'm going to start doing it.
Mayor Hawkins.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. You've got your contact information there. Did you leave your phone number?
I didn't, but I will.
Do me a favor, leave your phone number there. We'll have the appropriate departments look into those things.
Yeah, I have pictures, I have documentation, I've talked to each neighbor, and
Well, still want you to, it's important that you are contacting the city when things come up. And some things may be in process, some things may not be known, but please leave your contact information so we can follow up and get all that data. Thank you for coming out.
Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a question for administration.
if residents have complaints, I urge them to deliver their complaints however it is convenient, through phone or email. My question is email a more strategic approach for a resident? Because it creates, the resident wants accountability, and an email leaves a record of how many times that resident has complained. And again, I don't want to, if phone calls are your best method.
No, I'll do both. I mean, my job.
I apologize. I was
Sorry.
starting the conversation.
Ma'am, will you come back up to the mic? We just need to make sure we have a record.
That's my fault. I was starting a conversation with you, but.
My job is, for 40 years, I've resolved process problems for million-dollar corporations around the world. I'm going to put my work stuff to practice at home, which I don't like to do. But yeah, yeah. You guys will learn to hate me until this is resolved, but I don't care. I want a result.
I think resident
I
complaints are
am
the
not
best way.
moving. I am not moving.
Oh, I don't want you to feel bad for complaining, because that's how you can make progress. But
But-
I was hoping that a paper trail or a
I
email
can
might
start
create.
one. I have pictures going back 6 months, a year. And that was just the highlights. There's so much going on, but
I appreciate you coming out, and I don't want you to feel bad for a second for bringing
I
up complaints.
don't feel
That's not a
bad.
bad thing. That's a good thing. Thank you.
yeah, I know, but I'm not going to keep calling the police constantly because they have serious things to fix.
Thank you for coming out. I think it sounds like we've got an approach. The administration will reach out. All right, the floor is still open if anyone else would like to address council for any reason.
Hello, I'm Julie Tudor. I'm here on behalf of Springdale Offering Support. Wanted to make the city and the audience aware of the two wonderful scholarships that we're offering this year to Springdale seniors. One is for $4,000 and one is for $2,000. The application is available on the city's website, or they can contact me and I could email it to them. My phone number is 513-505-5707. And the only criteria is you have to be a Springdale senior, grade point average of 3.0 or above, and you have to write like under 1,000-word essay. And then you're eligible if you're going to college or even a trade school. So I encourage any Springdale senior or their parent that might be watching to get on them and get that application in. The deadline is March 31st. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the floor is still open.
I'm the other half. Tom Vanover, 11982 Tavel Court. I'm disappointed in the absence of an item on the agenda, the invocation. Section 30.05 of the council rules has, as subsection D, gives a suggested agenda. And it says, with consent of the majority of members of council or by general assent, the order in which the items are disposed of may be changed. Was there a vote? I didn't see any record. And I find it also disheartening that today's Ash Wednesday, as Mr. Braun can witness, started Lent season. We're in the 250th anniversary of this country that was formed under Judeo-Christian values, and we're tossing the invocation out. The invocation is a prayer that is inviting God's Spirit to be present in this room. The U.S. Congress has nonstop since its inception in 1789 began each session with an invocation. The city of Springdale was incorporated as a village in 1959, and then again as a city in 1971. That tradition continued until today. I find that appalling. I surveyed communities around the area: Fairfield, Sharonville, Reading, Glendale, Evendale, Forest Park, Mount Healthy, Hamilton, Milford, Miami Township. Out of that 10, there were 2 that didn't do an invocation: Evendale and Forest Park. Milford didn't specifically do an invocation, but they did a moment of silence, personal prayer. You know, if you don't want to do the hard work and do an invocation, you can buy books of prayers. I would reference you to Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 9 through 13, where it's the Lord's Prayer. Growing up in school, I said it in school. We said it before every sports confrontation, not conflict, contest. I'm sure Mr. Hawkins did the same. That's not that hard. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be glamorous. But I think that, and if you don't want to do it, there are 10 churches within the city limits. I'm sure the pastors, associate pastors, would be more than happy to come in and offer a prayer. And if you expand that just a few sections over, you probably pick up another half a dozen or so churches. But this body, biblically, is ordained by God. Your power is placed on your shoulders to uphold that. So, if that's your choice, I feel sorry for you. I don't think that's everybody in this room. And you can smirk all you want, Mr. Anderson. Yeah. But I find that appalling.
Just so we have the record straight, Springdale has never had an invocation at half of its meetings since its inception. It's only been done in the second meeting for some time. Prior to the agenda being changed at the beginning of this session, not this session, but this council embodiment, I did have an occasion to speak with Mr. Braun to review the charter and the requirements for the agenda. It was out of respect for everybody's views on the invocation and our agenda as a whole that I let council know and gave an opportunity to give feedback on the change that the invocation would be available to any member at any point in time for any meeting. They simply needed to add it to the agenda, just like they would any other agenda item, which is in line with our charter and the practices of the city. The claim that there's some agenda or attack on religion is just false. Any member up here can add or ask for invocation, perform it at any point. If you'd like to see the email, you can request the records. There's communications that went out that show that that was done. So I'm a little disheartened of the accusations without finding information, because for years I was the one doing the invocations. And it was after receiving feedback from other council members and members of the public that it wasn't, my invocations weren't always religious enough or formed the right way, that I felt it was important to make sure that council as a whole understood their opportunity and responsibility in that space. So what you saw tonight was simply a fact that nobody up here felt it was important to add for tonight's meeting. That doesn't mean or make a statement on any specific religion. It just wasn't on the agenda today because no one brought it forward. So I'm sorry that you feel that there was some sort of attack or affront. That was never the intention. Ms. Webster.
Thank you, Mr. Vanover, for all the research you've done on this matter. And I just have one question. What will be the next thing you do away with, the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
First off, I'll remind everyone on council and in the audience that we do have a civility rule. Accusations are opposed to open and decorum. I will say again that I did not go away or get away with any agenda item, and anybody on council has the opportunity to add any item to the agenda. In fact, it was 2 years ago now that we made an update as a council body as a whole to make sure that the way the agenda was being created was in an open fashion. prior to 2 years ago, when we made the updates to Rule 30, there were more restrictions on who could add things to our agenda as a whole. And it was in that review that Mayor Hawkins and I updated that section of council, and council then affirmed those rules, including how the agenda is created, and council determines those rules. So I find it somewhat offensive that you would imply that I made a unilateral decision, because that simply isn't the case. Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is directed towards Mr. Vanover. Obviously, you come at this with very strong passions. You were up on the dais when the decision was made to leave it open to members as opposed to a specific agenda item. And since that time, the appalling nature of your comments to me sounds like somebody who is reacting to the banning of prayers. Prayers have not been banned. You could make a prayer from that podium at each meeting if you chose to. No one could stop you. If you feel that strongly, I encourage you to do so. But what we have as a policy right now is that members of council are free to pray as they see fit. I understand you're disappointed that no one takes up that offer, but your reaction seems to be that we have banned prayer. Is that your understanding, that we don't allow prayer, or just that we simply don't have any volunteers?
My accusation is a tradition that has been going on, and you're correct, Mr. Anderson, it was the second meeting of it wasn't every meeting. If I said that, I misspoke. But a tradition that had been carried on since the inception of the Village Incorporation of 1957, or 59, I'm sorry, and continued once the city became, or the city was incorporated in 71. How hard is it to, Mayor Webster, when he was Clerk of Council Finance Director, Kathy McNear, Ed Knox, that was continued on. I don't understand why it can't be continued. If you want to change the rules and reach out, like I said, there are 10 churches within the city limits. You can reach out to any of them if you don't want to do it. I don't have a problem. You could reach out to me.
I did extend that offer just a few minutes ago. And if I may interrupt, again, nobody is preventing any of these things from happening, Mr. Vanover. It's a choice. Like, what I seem to be hearing is that you want the body to pray. For me, prayer is something that should come from the inside, not from compulsion from some other outside source. And if no members of council want to pray, I'm not sure I can understand why you find that frustrating. I mean, and again, if it is, you may say a prayer right now. You could be here for every meeting. I don't see it as a lack of effort on anyone's part. That seems to be the tone of your message, is that it's too hard, and so we could go to other sources. It's just that none of us have decided to use that ability that was granted to us before the last election. This isn't a brand new thing today. You used the word today several times.
Well,
this is not a new policy. It was here when you sat up here as well. Now, I understand you're disappointed with it, but again, nobody's preventing prayer, Mr. Vanover. No one.
All right, and if you still have a minute if you want to respond.
Yes, please.
Well, and my thoughts, again, are, A, it was done not in a public forum. It was not withheld in the open meeting. And, B, if, again...
Nor is it required, though, just to understand, because you've said that 2 or 3 times now. That's not a requirement of our rules.
No, but the rule states that if you make a change to the agenda, it is a suggestion.
That's true. It's a suggested agenda.
That has to be approved by council.
That's right. But there wasn't a change. So the advice we got from council was the suggested agenda is a suggestion. We didn't change it, and the way the agenda is formed was updated, I believe, while you were on council, and include that. So we're not going to get into a debate about that. I can tell you that I did consult with council before we made any sort of change in how the agenda was being created in order to make it more inclusive to everyone in the body. So just know that that shouldn't be a concern. It's no reason I say that. You're welcome to read the charter how you like, but I'm just letting you know, since you didn't ask ahead of time if this was done, I'm letting you know that I did consult with council before anything was done. So you can rest easy in that, but if you want to adjudicate that, you're welcome to do that however you like. Ms. Webster, did you have a final comment before we move on?
Nobody called me about taken that off the agenda. So who did it?
So
You said that approved council.
call.
You did that on your own, correct? Who did it?
So if you review your email, you'll see, and review your email is what I'll tell you.
You know, you're messing with things up here that have been part of this city for, well, since 1959. Now, why do you have to take that off of the agenda?
Ms. Webster, again, I'll caution you about our civility rule. I did not take it off our agenda. Our agenda is formed every meeting, and I'd encourage you to review your email that describes the process and the charter that describes the process for how the agenda is formed. We're going to move on.
No,
All right, the
you're
floor
not
is
going to
still-
move on.
excuse
I'm going
me.
to continue to speak.
Ms. Webster, we have a civility rule under section
You know, you
3005N.
do this every time you're in the wrong and somebody calls you out. I'm not going to put up with this, Mr. Anderson. You
This
bang
is your
that from
second
now to
warning.
the end of time.
This is your second warning to please limit the outburst, or
Yeah,
you'll be
I
removed
don't
from the
care.
meeting.
This is wrong. You took that item off of the agenda. What are you going to do?
At this point, I'm asking that you're being removed from the meeting as you're unable to maintain decorum. You're welcome to watch the
Mr.
meeting.
Braun. Mr. Braun.
Officer, if you'd
What's he
please
gonna do with
escort
me?
Ms. Webster out to the lobby.
Mr. Braun.
Mr. Braun, hey, please.
What's he going to do with me? Huh? And then I'm coming back. This will not end, Mr. Anderson. Not end. You do this, when I ran for
Ms.
election,
Webster,
you are not
please.
going to do it till I finish what I want to say.
No,
When I ran for election,
Officer, please escort Ms. Webster out of the building.
To try to keep things the same way they were in this city.
Officer.
And you
Officer,
are
please.
the one
This
that
is
changes
disruptive.
everything
This-
and won't change anything.
Mrs. Webster.
Please. Ms. Webster, I'm asking you you've been removed from the meeting. If you're able to calm down and come back in and follow decorum, I'll welcome you back in, but at this point, I'm asking you to leave. You're being removed from the meeting.
And what
It'll
am
be
I going to
disruptive.
do?
Officer, please. We need to continue the business
Am
of
I
the
allowed to
city.
take my stuff?
You need to explain to her that if she
I'm not going.
if she wants to come in, she can come back.
Ms. Webster, I am advising you that after you leave the room, if you're able to return to a state of decorum and follow the rules, you can return to the dais. But at this point, you seem to be unable to do that, and I'm having you removed from the meeting under my authority as the presiding
Mr.
officer.
Braun, is he allowed to do this?
So council rules do provide that here, I'll read it to you if you would like. It specifically states that any person determined by the president of council to be violating this rule or engaging in conduct which interferes with the meeting or obstructs the meeting may be ordered to cease engaging in the offending conduct, and if they continue, may be removed from the meeting by the president of council. So I think that's what Mr. Anderson has indicated, that you need to leave, and if you're going to stop interfering and follow the rules, then you can return. Is that correct?
Don't you think that's a little dictatorial? I am a council
We're not
person
having a
duly
debate
elected.
on the rules,
And all
Ms.
I want to
Webster.
do is try to
Officer.
find out why he keeps changing things.
Mrs. Webster, please, I don't, can you please?
I'm not taking my stuff. I'll leave it right here. Give me a number of a newspaper or a radio station or TV station.
Why don't you ask Brian? I think somebody should walk out and tell her she can come in and follow the rules, that she can return. You need one to do that.
And for the record, Ms. Webster has left the room, and I've asked Mr. Braun to accompany her to go out there and answer any questions she might have. And then when she's ready to come back, she's certainly willing and able to do that if she can maintain decorum and follow the rules of council that we've agreed to. All right, the floor is still open for communications to the audience. Second call? Third and final call. All right, at this point, I'm closing communications to the audience, and we're going to move on to ordinances and resolutions. First up is ordinance number 9, 2026. This is a second reading. Mr. Jacobs, when you're ready.
Ordinance number 9, 2026, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of street and other public improvements associated with the Wawa development. Whereas certain public improvements have been constructed as part of the creation and development of the Wawa development, including a traffic signal and turn lane, and whereas the public improvements have been reviewed by the City Public Works Department, the city engineer, and the city traffic engineer, and are now complete and ready to be transferred and accepted by the City of Springdale, the city. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Springdale, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring, Section 1. The City of Springdale City Council finds that the dedication to public use of the traffic signal and turn lane constructed as part of the creation and development of the Wawa development, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated herein, are hereby accepted by the city. Section 2. Council hereby authorizes the mayor to execute any and all documents required in furtherance of such acceptance and dedication of the road and other public improvements by the city as detailed in the attached document. Section 3. Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions relative to the passage of this legislation were taken in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect on the earliest date allowed by law.
Council, you've heard the second reading of ordinance number 9, 2026. What is your pleasure?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Yep.
Moved and seconded. I heard Ms. McFarland as the second. All right, questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, Ms. Brad, if you poll council.
Mr. Gleaves?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Ms. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Webster? Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye. Ordinance number 9, 2026 passes with 6 affirmative votes and 1 abstention. All right, next up we have ordinance number 10, 2026. This is a second reading and there will be a public hearing. As in the past, council, we will do the second reading. Before we move or take any action on it, we will open the public hearing, complete that, and then we'll move on to our decision to move forward. So with that, Mr. Jacobs.
Ordinance number 10, 2026, an ordinance approving a zone change for the real property located at 11550 Century Boulevard in the city of Springdale. Whereas on January 13, 2026, the Planning Commission met and considered a zone change for the real property located at 11550 Century Boulevard involving a total of 3.107 acres, the property for proposed amendment to the zoning map of the city of Springdale, the application. And whereas the application sought to rezone the property from office business district to general industrial district to allow for the location of a closets by design and shine business, and whereas the City of Springdale Planning Commission, in considering the application, recommended approval of a zone change for the property from office business district to general industrial district, and whereas on February 18, 2026, after proper notice having been given, Council of the City of Springdale held a public hearing to consider the proposed change in zoning from office business district to general industrial district, and whereas upon conclusion of the public hearing, the Council of the City of Springdale considered in an open meeting the proposed amendment to the City of Springdale zoning map and the recommendation of the Planning Commission to change the zoning of 11550 Century Boulevard from office business district to general industrial district. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Springdale, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring. Section 1. The recommendation of the City of Springdale Planning Commission with regard to 11550 Century Boulevard is hereby approved, and the amendment to the City of Springdale zoning map is granted such that zoning for 11550 Century Boulevard is hereby changed from office business district to general industrial district. Section 2, Council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions relative to the passage of this legislation were taken in an open meeting of this Council, and that all deliberations of this Council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action, were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect on the earliest date allowed by law.
Council, this was the second reading of ordinance number 9, 2026. Before I open the floor for motions, we do have a public hearing attached to this. So if anyone, at this point, I'm going to open the floor for public hearing related to ordinance number 9, 2026. If anyone would like to speak for or against this, this is your opportunity. Simply come forward to the podium, state your name and address, and you may speak on this ordinance. At this point, the floor is now open. Second call. Third and final call. And I'm closing the public hearing for ordinance number 9, 2026. Council, we have had 2 readings, and having completed the public hearing, we can now act on ordinance number 10, 2026.
Mr. President, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? All right, seeing none. Ms. Sprout, if you poll council on ordinance number 10, 2026.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. McFarland? Aye. Mrs. Webster?
Aye.
Mr. Gleaves?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye. Ordinance number 10, 2026 passes with 7 affirmative votes. And just for the record, we will note that Ms. Webster has returned to the dais in advance of the vote. All right, that's the end of ordinances and resolutions. What next up we have on the agenda in executive session? Ms. McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to move to executive session under Article 2D1 of the Springdale Charter to discuss economic development issues.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Administration, are we expecting any action out of this?
No.
All right. Ms. Barrett, if you poll council, I'm moving to executive session.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Gleaves?
Aye.
Mrs. Webster?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye. All right, we are in executive session. We will return. Council has returned from executive session. We'll move on to the agenda. Next on the agenda is old business. Is there any old business anyone on council or administration would like to bring forward? All right, seeing none. New business. Is there any new business anyone on council or administration would like to bring forward tonight? All right, seeing none. Move on to meetings and announcements. Any meetings or announcements? Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next Civil Service Commission meeting will be held on March 5th at 2 p.m.
Mr. Gleaves.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Zoning Appeals that was scheduled has been postponed due to no application. And the Zoning Code and Revision Committee will be meeting March 9th. That's all I have.
Still in meetings or announcements? All right, seeing no more, we'll move on. Next up on the agenda is communications from the audience. This is the second and final time this evening that communications from the audience is available. If anyone would like to speak, simply come forward to the podium, state your name and address, and you have up to 5 minutes to address council. At this point, the floor is now open for communications from the audience.
Tom Vanover, 11982 Tavel Court. Back on October the 3rd, I was standing in this young lady's front yard when I witnessed part of what she was talking about. And I've got a photo right here of the truck come in, unloaded, and pulled in the front yard. It's 867 Castro. This afternoon we walked, and an issue about them parking in the yard, and I get, we can't do anything unless we catch them at it, but there's mud on the sidewalks from where they come in and go. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what they're doing. Why can't we go up and hang a door hanger and say, according to Springdale regulation, you cannot park in the yard. We're not citing them to court. We're not doing anything. It's just a friendly reminder that we have an ordinance that says you can't do this. There's a car sitting on Ledrow that was there before the snowstorm that still hasn't moved, and it has blocks behind the tires. And it's got my Florida tags on it. Before Christmas, yeah. This is the stuff, and I've been preaching for a long time. You sat in meetings with me. We talked about this stuff. So it's not new. It's frustrating. The garbage that is thrown out, it's appalling. It is truly appalling. It's beginning to look like the other side in Sharonville. I hate to say that. And my house is paid for. I'm not moving. Matter of fact, I've just made a substantial reinvestment in it. So they'll carry me out. But this is your district. Take a walk. Call me sometime. I'll walk around the block with you.
Bricks for windows?
Yeah. Thanks.
Ms. McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vanover. I don't discount anything because my family lives over there and I see it all the time. But I've noticed lately this is not a Heritage Hills side of the tracks thing. It is taking over on this side as well. So I've actually had several residents reach out in the last few weeks. I don't know if because of the snow, whatever, but so I'm kind of doing my own research over on this side. So there's definitely issues. I'm aware. I think everybody's aware. It's just a matter of figuring out the right thing to do to figure it out.
All right, the floor is still open. I'm sorry, Mr. Hall, did you have a comment on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I think it was outlined earlier to get a hold of the Administrator Yule. He would have a staff meeting with the police department. The police department will be the enforcement agency on this. And if you've got cars parked in overtime, the appropriate measure would be that to mark the tire, mark the tire, and issue a warning ticket on it, and then it would escalate up to a citation, and then escalate to the vehicle's towed. Is that correct, sir?
I'm sorry, Mr. Yule, did you want to respond to that?
There have been a couple modifications to state law that prohibit marking anything touching the vehicle in any fashion, but I do know a lot of those complaints have come in. I know we've talked about a lot of them as well. Both our building inspectors have addressed a lot of those issues. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't work at the speed of I mean, we're looking for compliance, not necessarily penalty, so we're trying to work with some of those folks. But our police department is over there as well for parking issues and whatever else. And the one vehicle with Florida tags, I know they went over. It should have a sticker on it, I believe, or a warning of some sort that they made contact with somebody. But I do know that they went over the day that he reported that into me. So, yeah, our building department is on it, and our police department, they obviously will make sure that they're aware of some of these issues. And as the weather gets warmer and the snow has melted, I know there'll be more things that come about, be that through garbage or whatever else. So we'll ensure that our police and building department are on the lookout for all of these issues as they kind of, if we come out of the winter season.
So based on the complaints in this evening, you'll make that a priority with the appropriate agencies to take enforcement efforts?
We've been ongoing. Every other month we meet as a team also to discuss various nuisances. So these things come up quite a bit, and yeah, this is an ongoing process.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, the floor is still open if anyone else would like to address council for any reason.
Well, this isn't what I was going to say, but you say it's an ongoing process. It's been getting steadily worse for a year and a half. There's no improvement, so your process isn't working. And can you outline what your process is so that there can be some accountability, because it's not working?
Yeah.
But
sorry, did you have another point?
yeah, well, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to close out that we've covered the ground of the feedback that's been given, and the city has an action there. It sounds like we've got follow-up, so I'm not sure what else we'd be able to do tonight for that.
Well, that's not my question.
No, that's fine. I just want to let you know I'm not taking your time for that.
Oh.
I'm just letting you know your time's.
Thank
you're welcome
you,
to
but
talk.
you can take it. I don't care. I can talk fast. Okay. I called 6 months, a year ago, and said, and I don't know what the number is. Amy knows that I don't know it. The subdivision's predominantly Hispanic to a certain degree. And I equally just like everybody. If you don't follow the rules, I'm going to say something. I don't care who you are. If you don't bother me on my property, I won't bother you. But if you do something that infringes on my living area, I have a problem. So I tried to go over and cordially talk to them and, offer tools, garbage cans, garbage bags. They've invited me over to eat out all the time. But my thing is, we've changed the website to Spanish. They were going to put a QR code, I was told, with the Spanish thing around it saying where to go on the quarterly flyers. And then I keep getting told there's not enough money. There's $2 million sitting there still in the budget. How can you enforce rules if people don't know they're there? I mean, you got to be fair and let them know what the rules are. to be able to really, you know, enforce it fairly, to be fair to the non-English speaking people. So you're just going around, they don't know, well, we'll tell them, well, we can't communicate. I mean, because I know we did have one Spanish-speaking police officer finally, because there was a time when police officers couldn't even do calls hardly because no one spoke Spanish. And they just go in the house, shut the doors, windows, and never come back out. Because I used to call with kids being left outside, screaming they were being beaten, all kinds of stuff. And we got a Spanish-speaking police officer. But are we ever going to address the flyers going out in both languages?
Mr. Yule?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we could look into that further, but to your comment about the website, most web browsers will translate. On our website specifically, you can go and pick
They don't
a
know to go
variety
there.
of languages.
They don't know to go there.
But to your point about making sure that they know that it's a violation, that's something that we'll look into to make sure the notification it can be made to them and they can understand what the violation is. But your points are well taken, and I think it was you and I who spoke about a year ago regarding several issues in and around the neighborhood.
Yeah, nothing's changed. It's
So-
gotten worse, and so now it's going to be if I got to call you guys and email you every day.
I agree.
We're
And
gonna-
again,
every
we're
day.
going to try and enforce things, but at the end of the day, it comes down to civility and being neighborly with the community you live in. And it's a neighbor issue, and I know people don't always respect their homes the way a lot of other people do. So, but you know, we will definitely do what we can do from the police and building department's end to enforce the codes that we are allowed to.
Now I know where Garrett gets it. Garrett's answer was, he said, well, we can't see in the backyards. Well, the house at Castro that's on the corner, that's one of the worst looking houses on the street, 1080, you can see the backyard from the street. Nothing's blocking it, it's visible. There's 2 bags of trash in the backyard. It's one of the nastiest in the front and the back. The sewer's covered over. I mean, it's always like that. Any given day, just pick a day to go down. But Garrett's answer to me was, I let him go in my backyard multiple times to see the neighbors. His thing is, being a new homeowner, they just don't know what owning a home is. They get out of their car during the snow thing. I just picked up all the trash before the big snow we had. They had a party across the street, which I don't care. I don't call when they're loud. I don't call when it's till 2 and 3 in the morning. My windows shake. I don't care. Have fun. But they got out of their car 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd start at 5. They went up the street, got something to eat. They were drunk. They were coming outside throwing up. And they got something to eat, then got done eating it and just tossed it in the street. And I was like, ah. Next day, they cleaned out their truck and it all went in the yard. So the first one we had, it all was in my yard. And that's a constant. I take a Kroger bag every couple days and walk from my house to the corner and pick up all the trash. Just because I'm not going to look out. I don't live in over the Rhine. It costs no money to bend over and pick it up. But I can watch them drop it and say, could you pick that up? And they just look at me like I got 2 heads and walk in. And that's some of the younger people that speak English. So if you live there and constantly, you know, they've stopped passing out in the yard and stopped leaving 12 packs on the car roofs or in the street. But I mean, it's a constant, you know. I mean, so I don't know why Springdale's not forcing anything. I left my garbage can out. One day I brought it to the front of my garage because I was sick, too sick to take it to the back, and I got written up, which is fine, but that's one time in 32 years. And one time I had somebody over and their car hung over the sidewalk a couple inches. Springdale wrote me up. Fine, where's all these tickets now with the vehicles in the yard and not moving during snow emergencies?
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Your points are well taken, and I assure you, we will definitely have our crews get over there and continue. Heritage Hill is probably one of the most policed areas. There's a lot of patrols that go over there. I know our building department is over there quite a bit. And again, I know some things don't work necessarily at the speed of how soon you would want it to resolve itself. But nonetheless,
We're going to move on now from that.
I'm just going to share with you that our folks are going to look into this, and we'll definitely try and make this a lot better than what you're seeing right now.
All right, the floor is still open if anyone else would like to address council for any reason. Second call. Third and final call. All right, I'm closing communications from the audience. Next, we'll move on to a recap of legislative items and legislation still in development, in whichever order makes the most sense as Mr. Jacob goes through them.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, as you review your legislative summary, item 1, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of street and other public improvements associated with the Wawa development on Glen Springs Drive received a second reading. It was addressed by Ordinance 9, 2026. After that second reading, it received 6 affirmative votes. Item 2, an ordinance approving a zoning change from OB Office Building to GI General Industrial at 11550 Century Boulevard was addressed by Ordinance 10, 2026, receiving a second reading and also 7 affirmative votes. And that's all we had this evening.
All right, is there anything else that council or administration needs to have added to that? All right. Seeing none, all that's left before us is item 17.
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.